everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Carolyn Talks. I'm your host, Carolyn Hines, film critic and journalist, and this is the podcast / YouTube channel where I speak to film creatives around the world about their work, the industry, and what inspires them. And today I am doing an interview with writer, director, and actress Sasha Chuk to talk about her film Fly Me to the Moon, which has its North American premiere at the 2024 New York Asian Film Festival. And I'm very excited to talk to Sasha about this film because, as I mentioned, she's basically a triple threat in this film, and is she wrote, directed, and she's starring in it. But it's also, from what I read, as based on a semi-autobiographical book you wrote about your life, and it spans a couple of decades in the lives of our main characters, Yeun Yeun, and her sister Q, and this film, it talks a lot about immigration, but I think it also talks a lot about how the choices that parents make affects their children. And that goes for both being an immigrant, like if you're moving from mainland China to Hong Kong, how that affects the children, but also the personal choices the parents make, like how they decide to stay in one relationship rather than to move from an abusive one, and the impact that has on them. So thank you so much for joining me today, Sasha. Yeah, congratulations on your first feature debut. And I think it's amazing.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sasha. Thank you for having me.
Sure, and this is a pleasure for me. So as I mentioned, the film is based, it's kind of semi-autobiographical. So yeah. I'm always curious when directors decide to produce a story that is based partially on their life, like what parts of your story in this is autobiographical, which is strictly from your life, your experiences, and what is more like for dramatic purposes? Can you talk a bit about structuring the story in the film and how you decided what you wanted to be about you and what you wanted to be just like, I need drama?
Well, I immigrated to Hong Kong while I was 6 from Hunan, China. So, Hunan is the dialect we speak in the film. Is my dialect, and I'm the dialect coach of all the actors. And why I want to make a film about like semi-autobiographical is I feel like besides the film, almost a love story in 1996, filmed by Peter Chan. There have not been many films that depicts the part of the immigrating from mainland China to Hong Kong, but in fact, there are a large population immigrating from the mainland to Hong Kong in the 1990s. And like me and a lot of students I met in primary school, I would like to make a film that could record our generation. So I like to make a film like the immigrating part in the film is based on my true story. Yeah, and how the dramatic part, I would say that besides 1997, that part included in 2007 and 2017 is more fictional. Like my life is more like the little sister, like she goes to school, and then like her life is mostly about taking exams and going to a very good university is her goal. And I think that kind of resembles to my adolescent memory. But the part of Yeun Yeun, like her part focusing more on her relationship with no matter Sky, or like when she grew up, her relationship with the blonde hair guy she met in izakaya, and Xiaoyu. I think that more like is more decided for the film to make it more dramatic, and that part is actually I would like to emphasize that our like it, like the choices we make while we grow up actually based on our childhood memories. Like our childhood memories shaped who we are is the theme of the story.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true. And sometimes we don't realize it until we're older. And for someone so long, I am so much younger than me because I'm 40. But to realize that our like not only our parents' choices, but the choices we make as children and even as teenagers in our 20s do affect our life, and it has a ripple effect, you know. And the film is about that. It's like how one choice here can have a ripple effect 20 years down the line. And we see that with Yeun Yeun when she's working as a tour guide. how
Mhm.
the relationships that she had as a child, not only with her father, but also with her first boyfriend, Sky,
Mhm.
affected her relationship with Xiao Yu, you know, and like how she, as you mentioned, the blonde guy is kind of like a mirror of Sky, you know, he's like the grown-up version of Sky. And she's attracted to that. And the reason
Mhm.
she's attracted to that is because she didn't realize, yeah, this is a bad thing, you know, like she's not realizing that she's starting to repeat a pattern that her mom formed, you know. So I think it was I'm really fascinated by that. So talk to me about how the film is again about domino effects, about how children, not only the decisions we make as children affect our lives as adults, but how we mirror our parents' behaviors without even realizing it. You know, Yeun Yeun thinks she understands her parents. She thinks she understands. She thinks she's fully disconnected from her father because he was a drug addict and all, and that he abused her mom and abused her. And she thought that she had completely shaken that up, but she was subconsciously repeating the same patterns of her parents. So talk to me a bit about how the film is basically about that as well.
Wow, I really like how you described the film. Like Yuan Yuan just did it
Subconscious.
subconsciously. Like like what you mentioned, um, I think in 2007, Yuan Yuan, she's in the age that like probably reaching 30, and then she feels like she could just live on her own. She could just get rid of all the memories, like no matter good or bad memories of her and her father.
Yeah.
But everything she chose actually relates to the good memories that she shared with her father.
Yeah.
Um, like the scene I really impressed me is that while Xiao Yu bite her hand, and then that part um resembles her her little memory her memory with her father while she was little, that her father bite her hand to pretend it's a watch, and that memory actually made her very emotional. um and I think that actually happens, like whenever we feel like we're adults, we can just get rid of our parents, but all the little daily stuff that we just subconsciously that actually make us remember all the good moments that we share with our parents while we were little. And also you mentioned the choice of boyfriend, like no matter Sky or the blonde hair guy. I think Yun Yun is more attracted to danger, because while she was a kid, her father is very emotional, that very you cannot tell what mood of him is today. So Yun Yun has to be very um careful to, and then I think she's more mature than other kids because she has to be mature enough to deal with the emotion of her father. Like he's a drug addicted. And I think that part made her she knows how to love people, but the way that I think we all have to learn, we all need to learn how to be loved. But
Yeah.
we can see that the relationship between Yun Yun and her father, she cannot learn how to be loved. So while she met Xiao Yu, actually I think Xiao Yu is the one who truly loved her, but she kind of wants to escape from that relationship because um she's not used to that. She's not used to be loved. And what she's used to is like the relationship with Sky is kind of dangerous, and and he's always disappear. It's more like her father does to her. So she's kind of get used to that kind of relationship, the kind of thing full with danger, and then disappear. So the blonde hair guy that she met in Zakaya resembles the feature of her father, or Sky, that actually attract her. But Xiao Yu, who's the one truly loved her, made her want to escape. So I think that's what you mentioned earlier, is that the childhood actually shape who we are today.
Yeah, no, it's true because I read it as kind of like she understands danger. So that's what she's attracted to because her father was a dangerous man, not only because of his drug addiction, but because of how he treated her sister, and her mom. That's what. So like every time a man, and he's the only male authority figure in her life, so that's how he behaves. So like anytime she's attracted to that, because that's what she understands. She doesn't understand men who are caring, you know. So any man who's caring, like Xiao Yu, she's like, I don't understand you, so I'm gonna put you on the side because you are giving me energy that I'm not familiar with. So she sticks with what she's familiar with, rather, and it's again subconscious. And I think like for the film is, I think you did such a brilliant job of showing how women, we do these things subconsciously, you know, like how women was, you know, like people would say, why is she with that guy? And like a lot of the times it's not a conscious choice. So this is, it's a subconscious choice, and it's just because of just like our circumstances, and that's just what she was attracted to, because that's what she understood, you know. So it is hard to break that cycle if you don't realize you're in a cycle, you know.
I really like the film named The Perks of Being Wallflower. That's a line saying that we accept the love we think we deserve. So I think to Yeun Yeun, it's the same, that maybe Sky is someone that who people would think that who doesn't deserve Yeun Yeun, but I think Yeun Yeun thinks that she deserves this kind of love, because what what you mentioned, that the father figure influenced her so much, so she thinks that okay, maybe that kind of danger is something that she's familiar with, so she accepts the love she thinks she deserves.
Yeah. And in speaking about that, I want in talking about acceptance now, the film is also about different types of acceptance, so that's cultural acceptance. So for Yeun Yeun and her sister too, like they moved to Hong Kong from mainland China when they were children, and they grew up speaking Huanese, which is as you mentioned, is the dialect from the Huanan province, and it's a completely different language, it's a completely different dialect, and they have to learn Cantonese, which is again another language and dialect. And these girls are trying to fit in. And I'm an immigrant. I'm from the Caribbean, but I moved from one country that speaks English to another country that speaks English. I moved from Barbados to Canada. And so that was a significant change for me. But I always tell people, it's immigrating as a child is completely different to immigrating as an adult, because you're, as an adult, you kind of know how life works. You know, you're kind of, you already know who you are as a person and all that. But as a child, like they moved at a time where they're now learning who they are, you know, and they have to learn a completely different language, a completely different school system, and a completely different way of life, also because they're seeing their father in a completely different, doing things they had never seen him do before. So I want to talk to you a bit now about the language, because I what I noticed was interesting was how the characters spoke to each other in the different languages. For instance, I noticed that Chiu, she spoke to her family in Huanese, and that it was almost instinctual. Like she didn't really notice that she was speaking to them in Huanese, and it was because I saw it as her, because she moved when she was much younger than Yugen. She's like, I'm more in touch with my heritage than my sister is, you know, because she moved when she was younger, so she didn't have to, like, she didn't have as long as her sister to integrate into the society. But like but I then noticed that once the father came out of prison for the last time, he was speaking in Cantonese, but she was speaking in Huanese. And then there's like scenes where she's also speaking to Yeun Yeun and their mother in Huanese, and they're speaking in Cantonese. So talk to me about how language actually plays a very big part in this film, where you're talking about the nuances of culture and dialect, and how that really does play a part in who we are as people.
I think the language really represents that how one could accept where she's from. Like I moved to Hong Kong when I was 6, and I could not speak Cantonese at that time, but I was trying very hard to learn Cantonese because I would like to fit in, and I would like to communicate with people there. And I think so as the sisters, like what you mentioned, the little sister, actually she's kind of ashamed of speaking Hunanese to her sister.
Hunanese, sorry, I apologize. I was saying Huanese.
It's fine, it's fine. Yeah, yeah, she's not like she's ashamed of speaking Hunanese to her sister while she's in her secondary school. And she tried to conceal that she's from the mainland in school in front of her friends. But in 2017, when the father came out from the prison, she just talked to him in Hunanese and and some switching different languages. I think that shows the acceptance of her. Like she accepts the fact that she's from the mainland. I think coming from the mainland is something neutral, but I could see that a lot of people from Hong Kong, like during my grow up in Hong Kong, I could see that I see coming from the mainland is something neutral, but a lot of people would see that is negative, and they will try to use it to attack you. Like I still remember while I was in my student days that one of my friends, while we were discussing something and while we argued, and while she's not on the very positive side, she would say that like it's okay that you don't understand because you're from the mainland. I'm not I'm not I was not angry, but I was kind of sad that they see that coming from the mainland is something neutral, just is something negative. I think it's the whole theme of the story, like being an outsider or being a minority. Um, I still think that being a minority should not be deemed detrimental because it's just something neutral. And so I think the little sister shows that at first she's kind of reject that she's from the mainland. She want to conceal that, but at the very end of 2007, that she decided to hold the hand of the friend that she was kind of excluded by the bunch of friends, that she decided to stand up and then hold Catherine's hand. I think that part kind of shows that the little sister don't want to hide her background anymore, and she wants to accept that like her heritage. And then I think that influenced that why in 2017 that she's not ashamed to speak Hunanese anymore. And I think that shows very much that she just accepts the way she is.
Yeah, and I really love those scenes because they're so subtle, but like if you pick up on the nuances in the languages, and I do appreciate the person who did the subtitles making the distinction, because that doesn't happen very often. So I appreciate the distinctions being made in the different languages and dialects. And I just really like those because I love listening to people talk, and I love listening to different languages and stuff, because you really learn a lot about a person, but how they choose to speak to the people around them, you know, like how, if she chooses to speak to her dad in Hunanese, that shows that she's in a way remaining in touch with him, like they're keeping that connection, but then also speaking to her sister in Cantonese because she knows that's what her sister is most comfortable with. It shows that that's how she's also being accommodating to the people in her life that way. So I really love that. And I think we have time for maybe 2 more questions. So this may seem like an odd question, but I have to ask you about the Phoenix Clause. So I was wondering, like, if this is a recurring theme in the film where they go to the dim sum restaurant. It's her, is Yeun Yeun, the sister, and the dad. At first it was the mom, but then it's the 3 of them at the end, and they're going to the dim sum, and like the one dish they keep ordering is the Phoenix Claws. I was like curious, and so I looked it up, and like, it says like the Phoenix Claws are one of the most labor intensive dishes to prepare because there's multiple steps. And I love me some chicken feet, but I was curious, why the Phoenix Claws? Is it because it shows like food is a representation of love for a lot of people? Food is a love language. So I saw them the dad ordering this particular dish because while he can't show love in other ways, he can show love this way because it's a labor intensive. This ain't showing. This is the one way I can show you that I love you girls and I appreciate you girls.
Fitness class. Okay. This is a very interesting question that I've never answered before. So first of all, I would like to include Venus clauses because I really love Venus clause, and this is the first dim sum I had while I came to Hong Kong, and I still love it. And why the Venus clause is because actually there are different phrases to say Venus clause. Like while we speak Mandarin, there are different phrases to say Venus clause, and you actually tell where you come from. Like while Yeun Yeun, while she was little, and she said it's clause or something like, but it's not Venus clause. But the father correct her like, oh, it's Venus clause, it's not just clause. So I think even like in 2007, that part, while they call balcony, there are different phrases to speak balcony in Mandarin and in Cantonese. So I think it's kind of interesting. Like no matter how long you stay in Hong Kong, but there are some phrases that actually can tell that you're not local. So I would like to include the Finnish clause in the film to represent that no matter how hard you want to conceal that where you're come from, but actually that's something precious. That's how where you original. So I think there should be something we're not. I mean, we should not conceal where we come from because I think I still say it is something neutral, and yeah, that's why I want to include the Finnish clause in that part, and that dish is also my father's favorite, so I would like to include it in the film as well.
Okay, and I thought that was interesting because one of the other girls did mention terrace, and like in the Caribbean, we say veranda and gallery, but here in North America they say terrace or balcony. So like the way like the things that you do say does tell you where you're from, you know. Like I still say veranda, and people are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like gallery people. I'm like, okay, the balcony. They're okay. So like that's so when I heard the one of the girls say that to you in school, I was like, okay, I get that analogy because it's the same like where I'm from. And my very last question for you, I have to ask, why did you decide to play the grown-up Yeun Yeun in the end of the film? Because you had two different actresses playing her throughout the film, which I think like the casting for everyone was amazing. Like you mentioned the like Sky and then the guy in the Izakaya, and I was like, yeah, they kind of do look like actress, like the actor. His name is Kang Rong Wan, who plays the dad. I'm like, they kind of do look like him. So I like props to you and your casting directors for that. But why did you decide to play the grown-up version of at the end of the film?
Oh, I decided to play the elder sister in 2007 while I was working on the script. And I always wanted to be an actress, but I don't only want to be an actress. I want to play the actress that in my own film that directed and written by me. So, but at that time, like while I was still on the script writing part, I I didn't have enough confidence that I could be multiple tasking. Like this is my first feature film, and there are a lot of things I'm not familiar with. If I have to be in the film, that must be much more tougher than I could imagine. And I don't have any 執行導演係咩咧？
like a director who
On-set director.
like a director who
Yeah.
executes like practical
usually
aspects.
while the director is in like as in the film, they will have the on-set director to work to look at the monitor, but I don't have any on-set director. So I have to be like after acting, I have to run back to the monitor and then see the playback. So I'm not so sure if I'm capable to do all of the roles, and I'm kind of worried that my producer, like Stanley, would suggest me to not to be the actress in my own film. But surprisingly, he's very supportive. Like he just told me to go ahead. Why I would like to play in the film, like besides that I want to be an actress, I still think that it's very difficult for me to cast another actress that I have to teach another actor to speak Cantonese and not Cantonese, Hunanese, but like, and also I really want to emphasize the Mandarin, like while Yeun Yeun, she's speaking with Xiaoyu, she's speaking Mandarin in a Taiwanese accent, but while she's talking to the customers, like
the people in the tour
the
tourists, yeah.
Tourists, yes. While she's talking to the tourists, she's speaking 普通话, like in a Beijing accent. So
So
yeah, so I think that that actually, I think accent is something I would like to emphasize too in the film, to show that where you like, a lot of people, a lot of my friends, they study in the US or something, or they immigrant to the US, but and also their parents, and actually the parents, and they could speak perfect English, that but they got teased because of their accent. And I think that's the part I wanted to include in the film too, like being, like, to be seen as an outsider, that no matter you, like, in Hong Kong, some people, they were born in Hong Kong, but because they have a different color on the skin, so they will see they're still be treated as an outsider. So okay, this a bit off topic, but
No,
like
it works. It works. It works because you're talking about, you wanted to make sure you got the nuances and that you could portray
yeah,
that, because there's all of these nuances in the accents and the dialects, and you who are intimately familiar with it, not only having
yeah,
spoken but experienced it, that's something that you would inherently understand. Where having to teach it to an actress might be more labor intensive and the nuance might be lost. I completely understand what you
yes,
mean.
thank you. Thank you for concluding it. Yeah, but I think it's not that difficult for me to find an actor to teach her Hunanese, or but I think that the part I would like to be in the film most, like, the most importantly is because I want to be included in my film, in my debut. And yeah, but I don't think I would act in my upcoming films. So I think this is a very precious experience I have.
No, that's it. And I think you did an amazing job. And I wish we had more time because I have so many more questions. But I think you did an amazing job, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera, because I know it is not easy to act and direct in a film you're starring in. And to do it for your debut feature film, like, I think you knocked it out of the park. So congratulations to you.
Thank
And
you
to
so
everyone
much.
who worked on the film. Like, as I mentioned, the casting was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasha. Like, congratulations to you. And I hope you have a successful festival season. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So everyone, that was another episode of Carolyn Talks. And in this episode, I spoke to writer, director, and actress Sasha Chuk about her debut feature film, Fly Me to the Moon, which had its North American premiere at the 2024 New York Asian Film Festival. And it was amazing to talk to her. I really wish I had more time to speak with her, because there's so many things in this film that I wanted to get into. Like, we didn't get to talk about it much, like the experiences of the girls at the school. Like, there's some really significant scenes that take place when the girls are younger, like in 2007 at school, and the relationship between the sisters is really interesting to me. But like, I think she did an amazing job for her debut feature film. Like, there's so many layers to this, and having to act in the film itself is just hard for veteran their actors. And for her to do it for her very first feature film, I think is amazing. As she says, special, because she said she doesn't think she'll do it again for any of her upcoming projects. So I think it's really special that she did decide to do this for a film that is also semi-autobiographical. So congratulations to her, to everyone involved with the film. Like, the casting, amazing. But when you look at the actor who plays the dad, the actor who plays the guy Sky, and then the guy in the Izakaya, like, you see really good similarities between them. So like, that's really good casting as well. But you'll see, of course, you can find the video version of this if you would like to watch it on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@Carolyn_Hines. You'll find that and other interviews that I've done for New York Asian Film Festival in previous years, as well as for the African American Film Critics Association, TIFF, the Toronto Real Asian International Film Festival, the Toronto Japanese Film Festival. There as well, you can go to my R3, which is my digital portfolio. That's r3authorry.com/Carolyn Hines. Find links to all of my podcast episodes, as well, those including So Here's What Happened, which is kind of which is like permanently on hiatus, because that's where Carolyn Talks actually came out of. But you can find interviews there that I did with my co-host and friend Lanisha Campbell, as well as my other podcast, which is on extended hiatus because for many reasons, mainly because of time and health purposes. Beyond the Romance, which is my Asian drama podcast, where I talk about like some of my favorite Korean and Asian dramas, not just Korean dramas. I did recaps for other dramas as well. I'm really hoping to pick it back up this year. I'm gonna try to maybe do like maybe a special episode, maybe once a month. We'll see. And of course, and on my author, you'll find all of my written work there as well. You can find me on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Carrie, CNH, that's CARRIE, CNH12. Look for the hashtags Carolyn Talks for all of my interviews. I post them on my Twitter and my Instagram as well. And until the next episode of Carolyn Talks, everyone, stay safe. Bye.